This is the plaintiff, Joanne Panish. She says she was hired by the defendant to print 5,000 postcards and mail them out to his client list for insurance policy renewals. She has proof from the post office she mailed them. He approved them before she did, and just because he didn't get any business from them doesn't mean she doesn't deserve to be paid the $2,320.56, just what she's suing for. This is the defendant, Mike Sabino. He says the plaintiff provided him with flimsy proof she mailed out what she claims was 4,000 to 5,000 cards. It doesn't make sense she actually did because he didn't even get one phone call. He disputed her services with her. Next thing he knows, she goes and charges his credit card. So he disputed the charge. And here they are. He's accused of not mailing a payment.
All parties, please raise your right hand. The People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is now presiding. Litigants have been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Panish, you have a printing service called, you actually have a franchise of a Sir Speedy printing service, correct?
Yes.
Tell me what happened here. The defendant was a client of yours and he refuses to pay for some services. What did he hire you for?
So back on April 9th of last year, he contacted me because he's in the industry, insurance industry, selling to food and beverage type businesses. And evidently, those people were getting notices of cancellation, which was very confusing. So he wanted to create a postcard to send out to all those people with someone that looked a little confused on it and trying to explain his services to be able to get new business. We did, he gave us an idea of what he wanted. We sent him the pricing and a credit card authorization form. He completed both of those to begin the production of the order. And about a week later, we sent him proofs, 2 different designs that he could choose from. He chose design number 2, but he wanted to make some changes. So we made the changes that he wanted and we sent him an additional proof. And then he wanted to make more changes by adding social media logos and logos for an association, restaurant associations he belongs to. So the social media logos were simple. We had all those, but I didn't have access to the logos for the association. So I had to ask him to get them for us. Took a few weeks, but he did. And so then we provided a new proof. And then he wanted to make some more changes. So we made the new changes. And along the way, I explained the additional changes would have additional charges to go with them for the setup. And he agreed. So we made the changes. And I think we were about the 4th proof or maybe the 5th proof when we finally came to something that he could approve. And he did approve. He asked us to print 5,000 postcards. But he
and the
did
cost for the
explain,
5,000 is the $2,320.56.
Yes, that
includes postage for how many of them?
The original mailing list he gave me, which was about 2,000 of them. He wanted to split it up into an order that would go out, say, in June, and then save some for the fall when more people would be getting this same kind of letter. And he'd give me a new mailing list. And I would mail more in the fall, but he would get the benefit of printing all 5,000 at one time, which is a less expensive way to do it.
Okay. Let me ask you, Mr. Sabino, I can see from looking at the evidence that there was a lot of back and forth, and that there was the approval ultimately of the postcards that got printed. And I can also see that you did say, okay, just mail out about, I think it was 1,975 of them that got mailed out. So why is it that you contested the credit card payment? Because you charged on the credit card this amount that we're talking about?
Yes.
And then, so you had it on your side, and then you, Mr. Sabino, disputed the charge, correct?
Correct.
And the credit card company went with you on that, correct?
Correct. To my company, yes. They honored the credit.
Okay, so now what I'd like to ask you is, why won't you pay?
Because when I asked for the proof of the postage mailing, I never got it. It took several requests. When I did get it, it was like a scanned piece of paper that I never saw in my 25 years of being in business of doing mailings. Normally you get a postal receipt from the post office that has the amount of units. And in this case, when she did the postage, she wanted and paid for the postage on her own with her funds. And in my past, every postal company, mailing company that we use, they would always ask for a separate check made out to the actual postmaster. And in the past with Joanne at her company, she always needed money up front. She needed money to make the postcard. She needed money to do this. She needed money to print. Well, she said she advanced the money to the post office. I said, okay. But in the past, I would always do the check direct to the post office, and I would get a receipt from the post office that said 567 units went out. So I never got that. All I got was this barcode, and then I got an email to contact the post office that's in my town to see if it went out. When I went to the post office, they said, we can't determine if it was your mailing or anybody else's mailing. So when I went back to her, I'm like, where is the actual receipt that I supplied People's Court and I also supplied to her? And she goes, we don't do it that way. But when I went to the post office, they said, everybody does it that way. So I don't know if my units were mailed. She mailed units to maybe her clients, or I don't know who they went to, because the barcode that she gave to me had no paper trail whatsoever. So to back it up a step, when we hired her to do the job, 2 weeks went by and she says, you have to handwrite the postcard how you want it to look. And I said, well, I paid you to do the graphic arts. I'm not a graphic art. So originally the deal was supposed to take 2 to 3 weeks. It turned into 2 months. I agree, I made some changes, but the first 2 weeks she came back and asked me to make the postcard. I'm like, how do I make a postcard? So then I hand wrote it, put little pictures here. As far as the logos go, I just made a new website 2 weeks ago.
I don't want to hear any complaints about, you ended up approving, so I don't really care how it is that, you know, she made me do too much work to approve it. It doesn't matter. You approved the postcard. So this really comes down to, you don't think she mailed them because you don't like the proof she gave you? Did you get any calls as a result of this?
No, no calls, not one call.
Listen.
So you feel, right, so you didn't get anything out of it, so you feel like you shouldn't have to pay for it, and you'd like to really get some good proof that the mailing went out. Now, you, Ms. Panesh, you provided us and the defendant with a printout. Where did you get that printout? Who creates that printout that shows 1,975 items and the amount of the postage that was paid? Where did you get that from?
Okay, I use a mail house that does the addressing for me, and they have the postal software. So they entered everything. They uploaded his mailing list that he provided, and they sorted it so that it would go in the way the postal needs it, with the barcode and all of that to be printed on the postcard. They printed it. They generated the paperwork out of the software program, and they delivered it to the post office. Now, when Mike didn't like my
I have a question for you. Who generates that piece of paper? This third-party mailing company that you subbed it to?
Right. Yes, I just
So then, just a second. Hold on. So if you hired a third-party mailing company rather than taking it directly to the post office, this is their paperwork? This is not post office paperwork that they provided you with?
It's post office software that they, in the software program, you upload the mailing list. It sorts the mailing list. It determines the postal rate. It issues barcodes. They take that file and print it on all of the postcards. Then that paperwork, along with my check, I made the check out to the postmaster.
Let me ask you a question. Okay, that's what I want. All right. So someone wrote a check to the postmaster. It wasn't him. Oh,
no.
Okay. Do you have a copy of that check?
Yes.
All right. I have, but is it to the third party or to the post office?
To the post office.
Okay.
There it is, yes.
So now that is the exact amount, and that's the day that his stuff went out?
That is, yes.
How does he know that? How will he know that?
Well, I did, because he was concerned, I did go back to the business mail entry unit supervisor to request proof of mailing that would identify that that paperwork with that check was his postcard. And they did give me that. Basically, I have an email here from July 10th, which was a proof of mailing. I received it from the supervisor at the Postal Service, and I sent it to him along with her direct contact information, her name, her phone number, her email.
Okay, hold on one second, and I want to see that. Give me one moment.
The date on it looks like it was July 19th.
And it's written from the post office to you?
Yes, it's written from Ayana, who was the BMEU supervisor at the time.
And according to you, you didn't get anything from the post office. And this is an email from the post office. All right, you see where it says in this email, "Hi, Joanne, proof of mailing." Is there an attachment to this?
Yes.
Show me the attachment.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what came attached to, I got it. I want you, Mr. Sabino, can you see that?
Yes, I could.
Let me ask you a question. At some point, she sends you the contact. Do you ever call the Postal Service and say, "I still don't believe it got mailed"? Because your answer for not paying for this cannot be, "Hey, it's turned out to be a bad mailing. I didn't get any clients from it, so I'm not going to pay you." You've got to really show me proof that they didn't mail it. She's gone to the Postal Service. She's gotten the printout from them. It's the attachment to that email. What more do you need to see that it was done? She also sends you a separate email where she tells you, "Here's the contact person. Call them." Did you ever call them, Mr.
Yes, I did.
Sabino?
I actually went there, Your Honor.
And
I
what
went
did they
there. I didn't
say?
call
Nah,
them.
we
I
never
went
mailed
there.
anything?
No, for starters, I don't have that email, and I don't have that receipt from the post office, from the third party.
You
the
do have,
so-called
hold
third
on,
party.
you have the, no. Do you have this document?
I never received that.
Okay, what documents did you receive? Because I see emails where she says, "I sent it to you already, I'm sending it to you again on these emails." What did you receive? Show me what you received from her.
I sent you everything that I received, and I'll show it to
Yeah,
you
I
again.
know, and
I got
this is part of it, so I don't know.
This is the proof I got.
That's not the only
this
thing
is
you
the proof.
received. I see the email. Put that down. I see the email where she sent you this.
I'll show you every page, Your Honor. You want me to show you every
Put
page?
that down. Yeah, I want you to show me every page of everything she sent to you as proof.
All right, there's like 80 pages. You have time for that?
That's right. So no, I have plenty of time, but I don't need to take the time because I am seeing here,
All right,
that,
well, I
and
don't
I know
have the
she
proof.
sent you this.
All right, am I going to have a chance to talk, or am I
Okay.
just going to get blasted here?
No, what you're going to
I've
get
been
is
down
a
this
bill,
road. I've been doing
all right?
mailings for 27 years. I did not get the receipt. If
Yeah.
I got the receipt, I wouldn't be asking for the receipt. If I got a copy of the check,
Can
and
I
a copy
ask
of the
you,
back of
what
the
is
check,
this? What is this document right here? What do you think this is, since you've been doing it for so long?
I
What
don't
is that?
have that, but it looks like a
Okay,
receipt,
hold
but
on.
I
I'm going to
can't
make
read
it bigger. This is the document. Is this the document that comes from the third party, or is this the document that comes directly from the Postal Service, Ms. Panesh?
That was directly from the Postal Service.
Right, but you've never seen a document like this. All right, I got it. So tell me,
I never
Mr.
did. Never
Sabino,
got it.
I heard you, but now you're looking at all this stuff, and now what are your feelings? Should you have to pay or should you not have to pay?
Welcome back to the People's Court. The plaintiff says she has absolute proof from the post office. She mailed those 5,000 postcards advertising the defendant's business. The defendant saying, "Really? Because I got bubkiss from this, and I don't believe you mailed them." Let's go back into the courtroom.
I see all the emails where she sends you things over and over, but let's just talk about this. You've seen some documents today. Have you changed your tune? Do you feel that, in fact, she did pay for the mailing and that you should have to pay for it? And
Not
if
at all.
not, why not?
I don't know if they're fraudulent. I don't know if they're photocopied from another client. How am I supposed to know that? I never had a chance to look at it. I had one chance to look
Okay.
at it. The copy of the check's new to me. That's new to me. This mailing started in the beginning of April of 2019. It went all the way to July. She couldn't find a logo. I know you don't care what happens today. I've been doing mailings for 27 years. I'm up in 27 years.
No, I
pay
care
every
very
print.
deeply what happens today. I care very deeply what happens today.
I do too.
And what
I pay
needs
all
to
my
happen
bills.
today is I need
right.
to make sure that someone who did work gets paid for their work.
Let me know when this
Yeah,
is finished.
I will
all right?
let you know when it's.
I
Well,
won't
you're
say one
finished
more
right
word.
now. All right. I've heard everything I need to hear. I've seen all the proof from the post office. The mailings went out. Just sometimes that's how the cookie crumbles. You don't get the business. I'm finding in favor of the plaintiff in the amount of the entire $2,320.56.
Mr. Sabino, the defendant, let me ask you, what do you think of the judge's decision here?
That's the way the cookie crumbles, she said, right? That's the way it crumbles, I guess. It's not fair. I never got any of those documents, but it is what it is, you know? I got the documents today via FaceTime on this computer. I never saw him prior to today. So if she had him, I asked for him several times. She should have gave him to me. But it is what it is. You can't fight the system. That's the way the system works.
Let me ask you a quick question. You said out of all of these postcards that got mailed out, and obviously the plaintiff proves she mailed them, you didn't get one response. Who did the creative work on this mailing? The sales pitch?
She originally made me create it after I hired her. She made me handwrite it, and then her graphic art team took over from there. I'm not a graphic artist.
The bottom line is
salesman.
it doesn't speak too well for the design of the pitch. How do you explain you didn't get one response?
Well, you know what, sir, I don't even know your name. I just got aggravated from the judge. I don't need to get aggravated from you. It is what it is. The decision's made. So I insure 500 restaurants and bars throughout the tri-state area, and they're all closed right now. So I'm trying to get them all refunds, and time is money right now. So the decision's made. So let's just move forward, right?
Very good. All right, so thank you very much. You do have to pay her, though. Ms. Panish, let me ask you, after all this time, you're finally going to get paid. How do you feel?
I feel great. I mean, it's what should have happened. And he did receive all of this proof. I went to the post office to get it. I forwarded him all the postal paperwork, including a copy of his postcard from the post office that they provided back to me. So it is what it is.
Let me ask you the same
with the judge's decision.
Let me ask you the same question I asked him. Why do you think he didn't get any response? Any at all? Any idea?
I don't know. It could be the mailing list he provided. Maybe it was not the best mailing list to mail to, but that wasn't my choice. That was his decision.
All right. Well, thank you very much. Congratulations. You're going to get $2,320 from him. You have a judgment for it. And that'll conclude this case. Now, let's join Judge Millian and her real-life husband, who's a judge, Judge John, for another session of After the Verdict.
Marilyn, the plaintiff in this case had the burden of showing that these 1,000-odd postcards were actually mailed, not necessarily received on the other end, but that she mailed them. And you were convinced that there was adequate proof of that, correct?
Yeah, I was. I mean, she had the printout from the post office. She had the conversations with the post office person. She gave that name to the defendant. I mean, there's just none so blind as he who will not see. Right. He just didn't want to pay.
Right. I mean, we use the post office every day, and they handle millions of pieces of mail. And when you take it to them, you figure it's probably going to get there on the other end.
I mean, of the fact that, maybe one piece gets lost, two pieces get lost, but 1,975, which is what they agreed to mail first, did not get lost. I just think that the product he was pimping was just not desirable for people. Whatever it was that he was advertising on that card just didn't generate the calls. That doesn't mean you don't have to pay for the printing.
Okay, and you've done mass mailings yourself in your own life a number of times, right?
I have.
Is there something that you do to try to make sure that it happens? Because obviously you could do return receipt requested on every single piece of mail.
No, you're not going to. It's
expensive.
So what I have done before in mass mailings, like in Florida, judges are elected, and both of us have run judicial campaigns. Right. So when there's a mass mailing, I always include as part of the addressees myself and 4 or 5 relatives, and then I check to see if we got it. I do the same thing when I do a mass email. I'll send it to 2 or 3 of my emails, and then I'll check.
There's like a test one in there.
That's because, but I do that. But I'm neurotic. I mean, I don't know that other people do that. I mean, I think it's, I don't know what. There is nothing that man would have seen. He complained during the trial that, oh, she never sent me that document or that. Okay, fine. Now you're seeing it. Do you feel differently now? No, I still don't feel differently because she did it a different way that I'm not used to, and goodbye, I'm done with you. So right. He truly didn't want to pay, and that's it.
Okay, well, your way is one way to make sure, right?
Well, Edie, it doesn't really matter if the person is non-licensed. What matters is what they are signing and what rights they're signing away. You can sign away rights if you end up getting hurt on a property of somebody else. But if you are really outrageously negligent, grossly negligent, and the worker gets hurt as a result, that clause limiting your liability may not be enforceable. And that will do it for this case. Litigants for the next case on the way into the courtroom right now.